We are maybe 5 days away from my last frost date, but my 10-day forecast looks really promising, so I'm going to gamble a little bit. I am going to clean up that back garden bed. That's where I was planning on putting more cold tolerant things. Got cabbages started. I'll put in some carrots and peas and fennel, kohlrabi, a bunch of different little things. All of those things should be able to survive a surprise frost if we get one. I reviewed my seed starting plan so that I knew what I was doing. I'm going to alternate my cabbages and then fill in the spaces in between like it's a grid pattern, which will hopefully give me little microclimates behind the cabbages for things like peas and fennel. And then in the front I'm going to put things like my carrots and onions. This is the back bed we'll be setting up. And I might peek under the rest of this tarp just to see how things are getting on from the winter. But I have unplugged the geothermal for the summer, I think. And I have all of the windows engaged for auto opening. At the moment, there's no huge gusts planned. And then we'll probably finish out our day by watering in here. All right, finished product. I've got marigolds on either end of the bed. So one over here, cabbages going in an alternating pattern. And I put my different types of kohlrabi in between the carrots that are direct seeded in those little furrows. I've got blush onions here. These I grew from seed. I got other seed started onions that I'll be putting in the beds that I'm sitting on. And then I've got little extra Genovese basils in here in different spots just because they were extra. Magnolia purple peas. I'm going to put up this little bitty teepee. And I've got pink celery on the end of both sides of the bed as well, trying to take advantage of those microclimates. But I'm going to put this shade cloth on because the next 10-day forecast has days up in the 70s or 80s. Not what these plants want, except maybe the onions. Took down the reflective insulation. Now I can see John the toad a little bit better. And I had the doors open for the cross breeze. Auto vents on the windows engaged. And now I'm just going to spend some time watering in here and enjoying the plants. Okay, so I got distracted pruning tomatoes, twining them up their lines, tying those cucumber plants up lines as well. And then I planted some alyssum along the back there to use as a living mulch. All right, I had a busy day at the greenhouse. The one I work at, not mine. And I'm having a bit of a container problem. That was a container. So I'm going to take some of these plants that I've been collecting and I'm going to put them in containers. Okay. I'm kind of overrun with containers. Or rather, plants I need to put in containers. So I've got those. Most of those are going in outside garden beds, and I'm not quite ready because I'm waiting for a T-post driver to arrive so that I can get the T-posts in all the way. And I have a couple garden beds I need to repair, just the screws didn't go deep enough. So those are probably going to be a tomorrow project. But I've got, working at a greenhouse part-time means that I have ready access to plants. So I've taken my aisle problem and made it worse. I also I've been talking with coworkers about plants, and so I received some purple wave petunias because they had extras, which means that I now have something to put in my hanging baskets. I hung up the shepherd's hook over there so that I will have hanging baskets I can see from the doorway. I'm going to pot up these little guys so I can return their containers to their owners that were kind enough to share. And then I've got big pots. These are going to go in the front of the house. I don't normally decorate the front of the house with plants. I'm trying to teach myself how to contain or garden with flowers. It's not a thing I normally do. We'll give it a try. And if it doesn't work out very well, then I can try again next year. But first, wave petunias. I'll set the containers aside for the friends, and then I'll pot up the decorative containers because I have several 6-pack things to go together. I've been at it for I think like 2.5, maybe 3 hours. I did reduce the amount of nonsense in the walkway. Those are things that need to go in containers or out to the main bed. And then the next container is also things that need to go into the main bed. And then the same thing with the next 3 containers. And then I have more containers behind me here. Those are also going to go out into the main bed. Some are going to go to friends. And then I've got another container that needs to go out to the main bed. And then Frank's Iranian, my second sowing of that did come up, so I'll have to move those in here. I did this morning plant some okra and some soybeans in the greenhouse, and I'm hoping tomorrow evening to move out the leeks from here so that I have everything in here that is going to be in here this summer. The leeks don't need to be in here, so they're going to migrate. And basically tomorrow I'm hoping to get as much planted out in the main garden area as possible. Yeah, we're trying. Currently the forecast for this week has rain or overcast Tuesday through Friday. So if I can get most of my planting done Monday, that'll leave me in a pretty good situation for the rest of the week. Fingers crossed. I think I've been working outside for about 4 hours, 5, something like that. On the plus side, I've gotten quite a bit done. Not what I wanted to today, but that's okay. I ordered a T-post driver that was supposed to be delivered to my local box store today, and it was not, or at least not on time for me to pick it up. So I'd intended to drive the T-posts in. Weird. And since I didn't have that, I had to improvise a little bit. So instead I cleared out the kennel bed as well as the herb circle. And then I planted those up. I had intended to do amaranth along the west side of the kennel bed, followed by quinoa going east, Celiosa, which is the like feather-looking thing, Gomphrena, which is a little globe, and then put leeks and bush beans in front. My quinoa never germinated. The seed was a couple of years old, so maybe it was that. Maybe it just didn't have good germination. I don't know. Anyway, I had enough amaranth that it wasn't really a big deal, so just change of plans. Worked with the amaranth I had. And then I used straw to mulch it all in, watered it really well. I repaired the kennel bed before I planted it. And then I moved all the leeks from the south bed in the greenhouse, so the one on the side that I'm sitting on, out to the kennel bed. This is my first time transplanting leeks, and I've read about it, and you basically plant them deeper than you originally had them in their seeding bed or a seeding tray, however you started them. And that blanches the stem further up, and you get a more white stem instead of more greenery than white. So we'll leave that set. And at the moment, I'm going to leave the autumn leeks in the greenhouse for a bit until I decide if I have to move them. But aside from that, I planted in, I think, the rest of my peppers on the south bed. I reserve the right to change my mind and add more peppers later, because that'll probably happen. And what else did I do? I mulched the south bed with garden straw. It's like easy mulch, I think is what it's called. I've never used it before. It's supposed to be weed free. What I do like about it compared to the bales of straw is that it's a finer, grind. They're smaller pieces. They're not quite as long as like a bale of straw, which is what I've been using in the outside part of the garden beds. The north bed, I mostly just watered it in. I haven't seen John the Toad since he's been rescued from the watering can. The watering can's up now, and I looked for any other toad hazards. So I'm hoping he's okay. When I find him again, I'll update you. On the plus side, I'm really accomplished because I am down to only 2 10 by 20 trays in my walkway in the greenhouse. And then I've got 6 10 by 20 trays up on shelves. I planted up most of my herb circle, which I'd intended to make an herb spiral, but I don't have enough rocks. So herb circle it is. And I am not having any feverfew come back, and I thought it would. So I'm going to have to pick up more feverfew to put in there because I'm prone to migraines. Feverfew is one of those things that's supposed to help. Oddly enough, it's the leaves, not the flowers, which throws me a little bit every time I harvest it because I'm used to collecting chamomile, which is the flowers, which I have planted a bunch of today. That's going to be awesome. And then on the back side of the kennel bed, it gets the least sun. So I planted parsley, cilantro, and then some bronze fennel just because it's right by the dog kennel. Supposedly bronze fennel keeps fleas away. That would be ideal. The rabbits that live under the broken pine tree to the north of my yard get past fleas onto my dogs if we don't have like flea collars or something on them. So not my favorite way to sleep is with fleas in the bed. Not great. I'm tired. That was a long day. In theory, we'll have rain this week, followed by some severe thunderstorms. We were also supposed to have rain this past weekend, and that didn't happen. Rolling the dice. If I can pick up my T-post tomorrow, I also intend to grab mulch, in which case I'll work on the main garden beds to the west. And then I've got a mushroom seeding. Is that what you do with mushrooms? Mushroom seeding project. I ordered mushrooms from a company, and I'm excited to get those started because I think it takes about 2 to 4 months for those varieties to start fruiting. So the sooner I get them in, the sooner I get to enjoy mushrooms. Mushrooms that I know what they are, and they're not poisonous for me. So I've got some spots open in these trays from things I've planted. So these are what's left. I don't seem to be having good germination on these Chiba soybeans. That's disappointing. I've got more chamomile. I think these are the ones I intend to give to friends. Bunch of basils, nasturtiums. Most of this I think is going to be going to the main garden area. My corn germinated and seems to be doing pretty well in the air trays. Beans, some of those are up. This is lemon verbena, and it smells so good, and it's really good in tea. Catnip coming back. My roselle, I'm moving outside. That's these tiny pots. And I got straw on this bed to help with the moisture retention, and I watered it down. And then these go to the main garden bed as well. And then so do these. So yeah, I think this south bed is the one that looks the most different. The leeks are gone. It's now a pepper bed with some herbs. That nasturtium, that's really heavy. Then I put okra here, as well as some soybeans. Those are the autumn leeks, wonderberries, lychee tomatoes, or the stabby tomatoes. I will be moving Frank's Iranian to his resting place as soon as he's big enough. He doesn't have his first true leaves yet. And then I'm getting to the point where I need to twirl and trim the tomatoes again. It's been about a week, and that seems to be how long it takes. Herb circle. Watering in the potato bed right now. And then the kennel bed is planted. And then one of the types of mushrooms I plan on doing along the north edge of the greenhouse here. Oh yeah, I need to put away those tools. Actually, I need to fix that one garden bed. I'll show you. This garden bed. The screws aren't long enough, so I'm gonna have to fix that. I moved the soil away so that I could push that in, reattach them, go from there. Look, plants. Those look so nice. They're really happy under the shade cloth. Now I'm gonna go in. I'm tired. John is alive and well. Hey, buddy.